Good day to you. My name is Geyer. I am the founder of EnQ Practice. I'm also one of the co-founders of All Copy Publishers and QuickFest Properties. I'm speaking to you today about a workshop that I run called Path of the Lion. I started my first business over 20 years ago from my garage, and I remember my husband being really worried about the fact that it might not work because he said there was such a high business failure rate. So he said, well, give it a go for 6 months and see if you make a profit, and if you don't, then maybe go back to a corporate position. Anyway, the story that I always tell is that at the 6-month mark, our accountant told us that on paper we were officially bankrupt. So what do we do but change accountants and keep going like any self-respecting entrepreneur would? But the point of my story is that it took us 7 years to do anything other than just crawl from month to month. During that time, I learned that there was a different kind of intelligence around business structuring, different to IQ and different to EQ, which is the emotional intelligence. Those are important, but I believe that something called entrepreneurial intelligence is even more important. Having built a number of successful companies myself and having made a move from country to country, I spent some time working on how exactly it was that I would develop entrepreneurial intelligence. And why is this needed? Because over 80% of entrepreneurs in the countries in which I work, which include South Africa, New Zealand and Australia, fall into what we call the failing slowly category. 15% fall into what we call the bought a job category, and only 5% are the entrepreneurs who are really making a contribution and making sufficient funds to grow their companies and have choices and make a contribution to the world. Now, one of the biggest problems around why so few entrepreneurs make it is because the person they learn least about in the education system is themselves. And we're a really, really important ingredient in terms of any kind of business structure that we take on. So what Path of the Lion does is it teaches us firstly about why so many entrepreneurs struggle in the entrepreneurial environment, in a navigational environment, so that we have the awareness of behaviors that might be limiting within a business environment. Then I go on to teaching all about how exactly to develop focus and awareness. And I use the analogy of the male lion on the hill because he sits in the sun, dozing, looking fierce, whereas all the activity and the pride happens within the females and the cubs. And I use that analogy because that is good business leadership. That lion is intimately connected to what's going on in his pride, but he's not doing a whole lot. And that is the nature of the kind of entrepreneurial approach to business leadership that I teach and the one that I use myself in terms of my own companies. We offer this at student level because this is the most crucial stage of their lives to start learning about who they are and how to structure a business around the strengths that they have and how to fill in the things that they don't have through systems and stakeholders. We also teach them how to become really aware of what's working and what's not working within their businesses because we are in an environment of change. So having a really good plan is wonderful, but often it doesn't last because our environment changes. And the biggest thing that we have to learn is how to navigate that environment. So Path of the Lion has been developed into a 2-day workshop. I'm chatting with you today because you've probably been given the marketing material around a workshop being held in your area for students. You will also have been given testimonials, you'll have been given all the referrals and the pricing and everything else. So I'm not going to speak about that because this does run in 3 different countries at different times of the year. But the reason that I'm speaking to you about this one is because I will be facilitating. I would love to work with your students if you think that this is applicable. This is relevant to anybody who is interested in going into business at any time in their future. They might already have started their own little business ventures. They might be considering a career in business. They may not know where they want to go, but want to know more about who they are. And navigating within your career it's just as important to know who you are. So thank you for taking the time to listen to what I've got to say. You will have all our content information on the information you will have been given. And I certainly do look forward to working with your students should this be an opportunity that they feel might be right for them.